All right, good morning. 49ers hit the practice field on Monday, first time with pads on. So, in the words of George Kittle, real football for the first time out on the Santa Clara practice field. The big news of the day is something I think a lot of you anticipated. And when Brock Purdy was excused from practice on Friday, pretty good indication of where that was going. And of course, a very welcome sight to see him back out on the practice field on Sunday, which meant that everything went okay. And now we get official word from Jenna Purdy, Brock's wife, that the couple announced the arrival of Millie Jolene Purdy. So on social media, on Instagram, Jenna and Brock post a picture of them holding their baby girl welcome to the world on Saturday. Kyle Shanahan yesterday spoke to the media after practice. Brock Purdy did not speak on Sunday, but what Kyle Shanahan said at the time was, yeah, Brock had some family stuff yesterday, meaning Saturday. All good news. I'm sure he'll tell you guys when he talks to you next. So we knew that something was there was to expect something, I guess, or the Purdys were expecting. And so very good news. And what an off season for Brock Purdy and Jenna. Brock signs in May the 5-year, $265 million extension. And now, with that family security in hand, they welcome their baby girl. So welcome to being a girl dad, Brock Purdy. If you need any advice, I'm the one to ask, because I raised two really great girls, one just out of college and one in the middle of it, halfway through college. So anyway, congratulations to the Purdys. Okay, let's talk about what to expect on the practice field today. I really think that once the pads go on, training camp practice goes from being basically flag football to real football, as George Kittle said. So, anyone who asks any questions about how the offensive line, specific offensive linemen or specific defensive linemen, and I would say almost kind of linebackers in that same mold, how these guys look, well, the game changes a lot starting today. And so certainly be a lot of eyes on Mykel Williams as he starts to take his padded reps against the 49ers offensive line. The one-on-one pass rush drills are always kind of fun to watch. 49ers feel good about their offensive line, good enough, in fact, that they didn't draft anybody within the first 6 rounds. Good, in fact, that they didn't sign anybody to come in and be a starter. So they're rolling with what they have from a year ago. What they have is Trent Williams, a left guard. Ben Barch appears to be making progress, so he'll soon be back. I think at left, did I say left guard for Trent Williams? Left tackle, of course, for Trent Williams. Left guard, Ben Barch is working his way back from a quad injury. Right now, Nick Zakel is working a lot with the first-team offense at left guard. And then at centers, Jake Brendel, right guard, Dominic Pooney, and right tackle is Colton McKivitz. So, good work for those guys going up against the young guys. Mykel Williams has that really incredible size that Trent Williams says creates quite a challenge for offensive linemen, because typically you don't see edge rushers that big. Mykel Williams also bumping inside, rushing the passer nickel situations. So we'll see more of that. Also, Alfred Collins and CJ West, the rookies, working at defensive tackle, seeing what they can bring to the table and find their spots either in the starting lineup or part of that rotation. So those are the things to kind of keep an eye on. Also, Bryce Huff, be good to see how he is adjusting to life in the 49ers defense back with Robert Saleh. Sam Okawanu has been getting a lot of reps at edge rusher through the first 4 practices of training camp, reps with the first team. So he's gotten off to a good start and shown some things. So those are some of the guys that I think when the pads go on, it becomes important for them to step up. But, probably more so the guys who are battling for roster spots and see how they do. The backup offensive line positions, the backup defensive line positions, all of those spots. And then, as I mentioned with the linebackers, I think the competition, D. Winters, Nick Martin, that kind of takes on a whole new level of competition to find out who's going to be the guy who lines up aside Fred Warner for all downs, and who's the guy who's the base down linebacker, the strong side linebacker, and also which of the backup guys can solidify their roles not only as backups at linebacker but also on special teams. Those guys are an undrafted rookie to keep an eye on, Stone Blanton, some guys coming in from the outside, Luke Gifford, Chaz Surratt, and then there's also Curtis Robinson, who has a chance. He hasn't been cleared yet off the PUP list. Not sure exactly when that's coming. But Tatum Bethune, a draft pick a year ago who saw some action later in the season, I thought played pretty well when given an opportunity. So a lot to be sorted out. Also, I think 49ers have to make a roster move this morning. They're indeed bringing in Eli Apple, the veteran cornerback, 9 years in the NFL with 6 different teams, brought him in, probably gave him a minimum type of contract for a player of his experience level. Does he have a shot to make the team? I suppose he does, just because the 49ers don't have an abundance of defensive backs who have played a lot of football in the NFL. Even a year ago, they had probably more guys in backup roles. I'm just thinking about Isaac Yiadom and Rock Yassin, 2 guys who had started quite a few games throughout their careers, and they were coming to the 49ers in those backup roles. And they were really, Yiadom initially was the number 3 cornerback. Renardo Green ended up taking over for him. But, 49ers had some guys, guys with experience who they could count on to just know what they were doing. And this year, there's not a lot of those guys. They did go out and get Trey Brown from Seattle as a free agent. They do like him a lot. And I think he looks like a pretty good player, a guy who's able to take that next step. He was a guy 4 years ago in the draft. They did like him. They kept him on their radar. He never really became a full-time starter with Seattle, but he played a lot of different roles for them. Although he didn't play all that much as a nickelback, the 49ers believe that he has the attributes that will be able to make him transition to that. And he is seeing action at the nickelback spot as he competes against Upton Stout for that starting nickelback position. So cornerbacks also, which cornerbacks can come up and support in the run game, which guys are going to be physical and be special teams performers, all that will really play into that. And also, for the wide receivers, we've talked a lot about how the wide receivers it's wide open there at that position. Guys who can get off press coverage, guys who are strong enough to not get rerouted. And that's one of the reasons I think that, 2 of the guys who have stood out to me, Russell Gage, a veteran guy who's played a lot of slot receiver. He's had success in the NFL, hasn't played in 2 years because of the knee injury, but he's back. He's looking good. And then we'll see about Isaiah Nayor, the undrafted rookie from Nebraska, who has the size, the speed. Can he show that physicality and get off the line of scrimmage and really not be impacted at all or rerouted by cornerbacks and press coverage? And then Jordan Watkins, the 4th-round draft pick from Ole Miss. He's had a very good start to training camp, but also he's a rookie. And there's a lot on the plates of these rookies. And so how quickly can they get back up to speed? 2 injury updates. Both Jacob Cowing and Renardo Green expected to miss a couple of weeks. They're hoping, the 49ers hope that they can get back out there after their respective hamstring injuries August 14th, right around there, for the joint practice against the Raiders, or that week leading up to that Raiders game. So those 2 guys have experienced setbacks. Renardo Green having a very good camp. so far before he sustained his injury late in Friday's practice. And as far as Jacob Cowing, he had a good offseason working a lot with the new daddy, Brock Purdy, and Ricky Pearsall, but he sustained his hamstring injury just running routes on air before practice even began, really, on that was Wednesday, 49ers' first practice. And then the other injury update, keep an eye on, is Juwan Jennings left practice on Sunday early with a calf injury, something that's been bothering him here and there. Missed some of the offseason program, including the mandatory minicamp. At the time, I thought it wasn't really a calf injury, especially when his side put out there that he wanted a new contract or was going to request a trade. Then you look back and you go, he didn't practice during the offseason program. But now I am convinced that, he was dealing with something calf related. So 49ers hope they got him off the practice field before he sustained much damage to that calf. And, certainly they're hoping that he's not out for long, because that is one guy they definitely need. So that's the quick roundup pre-practice on Monday. Thanks for tuning in, and that is it for now.